and a good vach. We are in the middle of the sugya known as Guzmoyas de Rabba Bar Chana, the exaggerations of Rabba Bar Chana, and there are myriad ways of how to understand the Gemara, whether you take it literally, allegorically, mystically. And the Ritva, sort of in this introduction, says some of them you should take literally, but especially when it talks about sizes of different things, it's just it's not so much exaggerating. He says this is the perception of the person looking at it, not that it's actually that way. Plus, he tells us that a parsa on the water is a 20th of the size of a parsa on land. So therefore, the exaggeration is a lot less than what you think it is. And we're going through a number of stories here, and there's all kinds of explanations of how to explain each one in Drush, in Remez, and inside. So the last thing we learned about was the story of visiting those who died in the Midbar. So we are up to the next story. And from that story itself, there's a whole discussion in halacha, whether you can learn from there, do you bury someone with the talus and the tzitzis intact? You don't bury someone with the talus, or you today, you bury the talus, but you cut off one of the corners so that it's possible. Interesting. I'm sure you had that discussion yesterday. Okay, so let's continue the Gemara.
One question that we had was what about the question of Baltashchis?
Which one about Tashchis?
Well, I mean, you're putting on a talus and you're passing the talus. I mean, it's Baltashchis. Like, either use a puzzle talus that's already puzzled, but to take a kosher talus to puzzle the talus that's already, I mean, it just seems a little bit Baltashchis.
Because the reason why you take a kosher talus is because there are a number of opinions that says that you can wear a kosher talus and you should wear a kosher talus. The reason why apostle it is not to embarrass others who don't wear a talus. But if you use a apostle talus, you're embarrassing those who wore a talus their whole life. So therefore, it's more important not to embarrass those who wore a talus the whole life. That initially you take a kosher talus, which is saying that this person here, wore a talus tzitzis when they were able to, and even though it doesn't apply to everybody, but once we make a rule, we make it for everybody, and so therefore this person won't be embarrassed. L'pile, we cut off a corner so we don't embarrass all those who didn't wear one when they were alive. So this is how we accommodate both of them, and shaming someone is far greater or more important than these other things, and that becomes a reason. And once you have a reason, it's no longer Baltashchis. Baltashchis is only doing it wantonly, for no apparent reason. Here you have a valid reason. That's what it seems. Okay, so now we're up to the next story in the Gemara, where Rabbi Chana has a travel guide who's taking him around. So the Gemara says here we are up to about 12 lines at the top of the page. Amalei. So this guy said to Rabbi, come, I will show you Har Sinai. I will show you Har Sinai. Also, they went, he saw the Hadule Akraba. He saw that surrounding Har Sinai, there was this large scorpion, and it was standing there like this white donkey. That's very, very dangerous. It was standing there. We're having Morachul in the beginning that a white donkey is the most dangerous kind, and nobody ever said, cure me from a white donkey. And I was standing by Har Sinai. And Shamati, while I was standing there, I heard Baska, a voice ringing out from heaven. In Taimim and Hagim, it says that at Har Sinai, you have these stones, if you want to know which is Har Sinai, and if you cut open the stones, you'll find there's an image of the burning bush inside, engraved inside. Anyway, they heard a voice from heaven. Shemet said, "Oili shenish baiti." Woe is to me that Hashem is saying, "Woe is to me that I made a vow." And ba'achshav shenish baiti. Now that I made this vow, me made for that, which somebody will come and annul this vow. And Rabbi Chana didn't say a word. Ki also the Kameh the Rabbanon, later on when he told the Rabbanon what actually happened and transpired, Amruli, they said to me, Kol Abba Chamri. His name was Rabba, which is really, I guess, the nickname for Rab Abba. Kol, every Abba, they sort of cursed him out, is like a donkey, not intelligent. And Kol Bar Chana, and anyone who is known as Bar Chana is Sichsa, is a fool. In other words, you should have said to Hashem, Mufalach. You should have said to Hashem that that your vow that you said that the Eden have to never go to Golis, and it says so in so many psukim in Nevi'im, you should have annulled him. Why didn't he? But who saw it? Rabbi Chazal's opinion. I didn't know which shvu Hashem is referring to. Dilma shvu asa the Mabalu. Maybe Hashem was so angry with the Eden and he made a vow that as long as that rainbow is there, he's not going to bring another downpour, another Mabul. And that was the shvu that he wanted to renege on. So therefore, I didn't want to be made for him. And the Rabbana said, if that's the case, im kain oili lama. Hashem would never have used the word, woe is to me. He would have just said, I wish I could know this neder. The fact is that woe is to me means that he was really, he wanted to help the Eden out, but he put himself in a predicament that he couldn't. Interesting. The bottom traces. First trace asks the question, why couldn't Hashem annul his own vow? And he brings a Gemara that we had in Chagiga where it says, Asher Nishbat, there talks about, mountains that are on a hair, lots of dinim we learn that from just a very word here or there, and it says Asher Nishbati be'api. I swore when I was angry. So when I calmed down, I annulled my neder. So why didn't Hashem annul his own neder? That's what Teza asks. And then a minute later, Teza asks, how could Hashem have annulled his own neder? Not only here, even in Chagiga, when we learned Lo Yachal Devara that you cannot cancel your own neder, annul your own neder, you have to go to someone else. So it's interesting. In one case, he asked the question of Gemara here, and then he asked the question of Gemara there, which would make sense, which then the Gemara here makes perfect sense, and the Gemara there doesn't make sense. So Tesa sort of has it both ways. Anyway, let's continue the Gemara. They said, let me show you Blui the Kairach. Let me show you what happened to Kairach's descendants. I saw today busy. I saw there were two cracks or two crevices in the ground, like a mafka kutra, and there was smoke generating. Shakal gavava the amra. We took a bowl, let's say, of wool, we soaked it in water, and then we stuck it on the tip of a spear. And I put it into those crevices, and I pulled it out. It was all singed, it was all burnt. He said to me, Atzis, my Shami, put your ear closer and listen to what the Kerach is saying. The Shamin, I heard Ami that was saying, Moshe v'Torah emes v'hein badoy. And Moshe and his Torah are truth, and we are liars. Amalei, then he told me, call Klos and Yom every 30 days, every 30 days they're once again sentenced, and they go to get kibasa kibakaralacha. Like when you barbecuing meat, you have to turn it over. Every 30 days they're sentenced again. And the Amri Hachin, each time they make the same declaration, Moshe v'Torah emes v'hein badoy. The world says, it says at Rishayim, afilu bepischei gehenim ein oisin tshuva. That a Russia, even at the doors, the threshold of entering Gehenim will not do tshuva. So how come they go here the Kairach and Va'adosei they did tshuva? So they say that the Gemara, according to that Medrash, you're supposed to read the Gemara a little bit differently. First they said Moshe Torah Emes, they had no choice. They had to make a declaration that Moshe and Torah is true. But right away they said, Behein Badai, we're liars. Whatever we say is not true. In other words, this that we just said, that Moshe's emes, we don't mean. And they got punished again. And that's why the kids are getting punished, because they refused to do tshuva. Then he said further, Amalí, he said, come and I'll show you, let me show you where the heaven and earth joined together. Where the heaven and earth joined together. I took my basket, I placed it on the window of the heaven. And at the matzilna, by the time I finished davening, I went to retrieve my basket. I couldn't find it. I said to my guide, Ganavim in this part of the world. Amali said to me, Hi Galgo Derakiyu. This is the Galgo Derakiya that goes around. The Hadar that keeps it going around. Not to Adlamachar Hachar, why don't you wait? The Tar Adlamachar Hachar, wait here till tomorrow. Will come back to you. The Ritva says that what it's talking about here is that King Alexander, he says he found this in some letter of the Rambam, that King Alexander made a big map of all the constellations and all the stars. Remember, he was a very wise man, scientist and a philosopher, and he made everything else, and he showed the earth as well. And therefore, in his map there, they were sort of touching each other. And that's what he means over here. And so on. And then allegorically, all those forms talk about how a person tries to live the life of heaven and earth. He wants to be, ish ruchni and ish gashmi at the same time, and it's not so compatible to be both. To be both. Anyway, Rabbi Yechon said, "Zim lechad once have a cousin. I was going on a ship. Chazin Asra who covered. I saw this fish. The Afkel Yama stuck its head out of the water. Vidamian Aina and his eyes compared to Ketreisira, like two moons. The Nofet Maria Mitarte Zime." And I saw, and water was flowing from his nose, Ketrei Mavid the Surah, like two rivers of Surah. And the Ritva says on this, could be that it's literal, giant fish. Rab Safra Mishtai told a story that Zim Nechad once ever caused Nina Bisfint was going on a ship. The Chazina who carved saw this fish, the Afke Lereishim Yama that stuck his head out of the water. The Havele Karne and had horns. The Chokikale and was engraved on those horns. I know Beria Kalo Shebayam. I am a miniature creature, or I'm the smaller creatures in the Yam. The Havina Tlas Mea Parsa, I am 300 parsa long. The Azilnul Pumil of Yosef. I'm preparing myself to go to the Yosef to be his feed for the day. Amar Rashi said, "Who eats the Yom Hava?" That was known as the goat. The goat, like you have a seahorse. This is a sea goat. The bechishe v'isle karne digs in the bed on the riverbed for food, and it has horns that helps it dig out. I was traveling on a ship. The Chazina saw this box to have a komikva ba'avon termagolis, and settled in there were all kinds of beautiful precious stones. The hodrle mina de cavre, and there was the species of fish that was surrounding this box, this chest, and the mikre karsha, and the name of that fish is called karsha. Nochis bar amaroi. So the swimmer and diver jumped in la asuya. He wanted to retrieve this chest that was on the bottom of the ocean. The rogash, and the fish sensed it. Uboyle shamte la atamya. So the fish wanted to dislodge his hip. Vishada zika de chala. So this diver then took some vinegar and poured it over the fish, and the nochas it calmed the fish down. Nofik Baskola, and a voice rang out of heaven and said, "My islachu, what are you doing? Bahade kartelita de devisach. What are you doing with this box of Rab Chanina ben Doisa, the asida de shadya tichlata bala tzadiki la almadosi, that she is going to be helping to put cheletz tzitzis for the tzadikim in the future world." Now, the Rabbi Kiva Eger over here in Gilyon Hashas sends you off to a tesis, to a Russian Gittin. But actually, there's a big machlekes Rishayim, actually 3 opinions. Can women put on tzitzis on a beged? Well, now in the war in Israel, many women are helping out because there's such a strong demand for people to wear tzitzis. So a lot of women are putting on tzitzis. Can women put on tzitzis? There's a big machlekes Rishayim. They want to prove from here that Reb Chanina ben Doisa's wife was going to put on tzitzis on their husbands. And the problem with putting on tzitzis is because since they don't have the mitzvah, just like by tefillin, kshartim uchsaftim, those who don't have the mitzvah of kshartim can't get involved in getting tefillin ready, so they want to apply the same thing to tzitzis. So what about the Gemara right here? So they want to say that those who Shani want to say that the Gemara right here is talking about tviyah, spinning the tzitzis. So women can spin the tzitzis, but they cannot actually put the tzitzis on the beged. So there are 3 opinions in the Rishonim. One opinion says that they can do everything. One opinion, as well as machlekes, there are most of they should be machmer. One opinion says they can do everything. One opinion says they can only do the spinning, and the third opinion says that they can't do anything. If they cannot do anything, so what's shot in the Gemara right here? If you look at the Rashbam doesn't say that they actually put on the tzitzis. The Rashbam says they placed the tchelis in the box, lahatzniaba, just to store it. Nothing to do with producing tzitzis. So therefore, there's no proof from this Gemara here. The only thing I don't understand is just because in Olam Hazeh, in this world here, mitzvahs aseish man grumba, women are potter, and the reason the Avudram says because they have to raise a family or that. But la'alma the asi in the future, who said that these pturim are still going to be? Who said they still going to ptura mitzvah says as man grama? If there are mitzvahs, according to the opinion that says there are mitzvahs in the future, we're not. In fact, there's a ritva in Nida. We'll talk about when we get to Nida in the Samachs. Whether only mitzvahs lavin will apply then, not mitzvahs asay, or others say only mitzvahs asay and no more lavin. There's no more yetzahara. So even when we said there are mitzvahs, what exactly do we mean there will be mitzvahs? So to learn a halacha from something that happens l'asid lova to how it is today, it needs a little bit of explanation. But the Rush uses this Gemara. Okay, continue the Gemara further. The Asi Rabbi Yehuda Hindoi, the Amud sorry, Rabbi Yehuda Hindoi from Ethiopia, or Hindu from India. We know that Kush can mean two things. You know, in the beginning of Megillah, we had a machlekes. The Haidova Kush is Kush, Ethiopia, or Haida Kush are actually the mountains of Afghanistan, and those are called the Kush Mountains as well, which is near India. So, what we hear also, Hindu can mean India, or could mean Kushi, which is Ethiopia. Mishnah once Mishnah said, Simcha once have as lima Shiva Chazina, who was a beautiful stone that the Hadlei Tanina that was surrounded by these large fish. And Nachis Baramarela, so this diver jumped in to get it, to retrieve it. Also, Tanina Kabailila came along one of these fish and tried to swallow them up. Lisfinta to the entire ship. Also, Pishkansa came in a female raven, Paskeleresha, and chopped off the head of this fish. And the fish was so large, it's Hapicho Maya, the entire water of the ocean turned into blood. Avidama. Also, Tanina Chavri came along another fish, Shakle, came along another fish, took the precious stone that was there on the bottom of the riverbed, Vitalule, and hung it on this dead fish. The Choya came back to life. Now that this original fish came back to life, once again, it threatened to destroy our ship. Tifa came along another bird, Paskeleresha, and again chopped off its head. Then they took the stone, Shadu Lisfinta. So this diver caught the stone and he threw it onto the ship. That there were these birds that were killed and they were salted, preserved on the ship. And the stone was placed on the birds to see whether it works. Shaklu, the birds came to life. They took right away, as soon as they came to life, took a stone, and fled. And some say that this is the narrative of the Bnei Yisrael, that they come in, they resurrect an economy, and they resuscitate the economy and they make it very influential. As soon as the economy becomes affluent, they throw the Eden out, which was our history throughout the ages in medieval Europe. Torah Bonon. Maise Rabbi Yeshua. The story of Rabbi Yeshua. Boyim is still going on a ship. Where Rabbi Yeshua was asleep, Rabbi Yeshua was up. Nizdazeh Rabbi Yeshua started to tremble. Venina Rabbi woke up. Amalei Maze Yeshua. What's going on? Man is down. Why are you trembling? Amalei Moir Godlis. I saw this big light. Amalei said to him, Shema Ein of Shaliv Yasodi. So maybe what you saw was the eyes of the Yasod. The Chsiv, it says Ein of, that his eyes, like the brows, like the eyebrows of the morning. In other words, have very bright eyes. And we had this thigh or this of meat with us. Pasachna, we cut it open. The nakrina, we cleanse it out. Vanachna, each been placed on the grass. Add the mycena tiv, and then we went to treat wood. By the time we got the firewood, kolam atma, we saw that the entire thigh bone came back together as one whole piece. The tavinan, we roasted it. And kihadron lebasa tretze yachi shasa. We came back 12 months later. Chazin lahanagumra. We saw that the coal that we used, that come alachshi, still burning embers there. So the cameraman went to Meimer Omali. He told me, you know what just happened there? Ahu isva samtari haba. The name of that particular grass is known as samtari, and it has this capacity to bring things together again. And hanagumra the risma haba, and the wood that you used that turned into coal was called risma. And they burn for a very long time. Now that we've raised the Tanin, will continue talk about the Leviathan and all that. The Gemara continues. Hashem created these large fish. Hocha Targim Hila translate Arzile de Yama. These are the large re'aims, but out of the sea rains, which we learned about yesterday. The re'aim. The re'aim itself is a big argument whether it's a buffalo, whether it's a unicorn, and others have other translations, but this is the seed version of it. And Rabbi Yechon Amazel of Yosem. These are the giant whales. Nochash Briach. This of Yosem is Nochash Briach, like a snake that's standing upstanding, like a boat. And the Leviathan Nachash Akaltin. And the other Leviathan, one was male, one was female. The other one was Nachash Akalosan. That was wrapped around the world. And it says, by on that day, Hashem will remember Bechar by Hakosha. Hashem will remember with his sword. He will remember, as we'll tell you in a minute, what happened to these giant whales. Simen Kosha Yad. Every time he created the world, he created a male and female version. Af Leviathan, so to Leviathan, Nachash B'riach is the male version, and Leviathan, Nachash Akalosan, and the Nachash that were around is the female version. Zoch and the cave bottom, he created male and female. If they would ever mate together, if they were progenitors of more Leviathans, it would have destroyed the entire world. Ma Osa HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what did Hashem do? Sirei says as Zochar, he castrated the male, and Vaharag and the cave. But we know that in the animal kingdom, the females are more treacherous than the males. So he castrated the male and he killed in the cave. In Halacha, there's a big machlek. We learned in more Shabbos in the kufs, the early kufs, that you cannot castrate an animal. And there's a big argument. What about, are you allowed to castrate fish? And they want to bring a right from here that you can, because Hashem just castrated the male version of the Leviathan. Others say, who said that he did it directly? In fact, in Halach, we have a whole thing there about, women can take a potion, but maybe they cannot do the actual act of castration and physical castration. There's a difference between the actual act and a groma. So maybe with a fish, Hashem didn't directly castrate Leviathan, just made it happen that something happened that caused it to become self-castrated. And what Hashem do with the female? Killed it. And salted it for tzaddikim in the future. And then it says the pasuk v'hora gets a tanin, that he killed the tanin asher b'yam that's in the sea. Then in the animal kingdom, so that's the Leviathan. In the animal kingdom, we also have these giant animals. We call it Shor Habor. When Mashiach will come, and there'll be a fight between the Shor Habor and Leviathan. So by the animal kingdom, Av Behemoth Bahari Elef. Also by animals, you have this animal giant that has to pasture and graze on 1,000 mountains for a feed. Zachar and Keva Baram, he created male, female. If they would join together, destroy the entire world. Is Ma'asa Kosh Baruch. What does Hashem do? Sidei says Zachar, same thing, castrate the male. But in this case, when it comes to the animal, instead of killing the female and preserving it, Vitzinen Hanekeva calmed her down that she has no interest at all in mating, and Vishalat was love and watched it while it's alive. Will be ready for tzaddikim in the future. So now it says. The Muslim, its koyach is still with its loins. That means the male had never passed out any semen. Says Zachar, and and also the strength in her stomach because she never gave birth is in the cave. So they both remained alive by the animals. So you want to ask a question: why? So why not by the fish? The same thing. Why they have to kill the Leviathan female fish? Why they should just go ahead? And Mitzanid, the cool down, should be interested in mating. Says dogim pritzi. Dogim have no ethics whatsoever, and they'll mate with any species of fish, and sinan is not going to be enough. You have to kill it. So you want to ask, so why do you do the way around? Kill the male and let the female live. The Gemara says he buys him in a cave of melicha maila. One says is that in a cave salted, the flesh is much better tasting than a male that would have been preserved, or you buy him, or kivun l'chsiv it says Leviathan zeh yitzarto l'sachiboy. We're learning more about the different hours of the day what Hashem does, and there it says that we say in Bachanafshi that Leviathan was created for the Eibishter to enjoy. Bahad in the cave lav oirich ara, and if it's in the cave and people read it, people will come. It won't feel right for us. So you want to ask the question: okay, so why don't we just salt the female animal as well? So kill the female animal as well and salt it. Why leave it alive? So we answer kavra melicha mala, bitz melicha le'maila. Salted fish preserved for a long time is good, but salted meat is no good. The Rambam in Hilchos Deis actually said that salted big fish are no good, and everybody wonders why the Rambam says that when he more clearly says it, that salted big fish is good. So some want to say, if I remember correctly, that kavra is not a generic name for fish. Kavra is a different kind of fish. We have a Gemara in Cotton. If you remember, the Gemara Cotton, that kavra, the best time to eat kavra, the Gemara says, is right before it goes off. As it's about to go off and rot away, that's the best time to eat it. Now, so Taisha says, most fish, you don't want to eat it when it's just about to go off. So kavra might be a certain species. So maybe kavra salted is good, but other species of fish, maybe salted big fish, are no good. Anyway, what are we doing with the Shosh begins Baruch Lebar when Hashem wanted to create the world. He said to the minister of the ocean, open your mouth, I want you to swallow all the waters of the world so that the land can appear. I got to take care of the Atlantic Ocean, the ocean itself, and there's rivers flowing into it all the time. I got to swallow all that water there. So isn't that enough? So he was protesting, or he was questioning Hashem's ruling. He's bought by the Hashem got angry, gave him a kick, and he killed that malach. Remember, it says the koichai roga hayom with his strength. The water got angry. He got angry. Hayom with tvanase mochas rava. With his wisdom, he destroyed Rahab. Now, who is this Rahab? That the name of the side of the yam is Rab. And if water would not have covered over him, his stench would have been so bad, so repugnant, odious, that no one in the world would be able to survive had it not been for the fact that he died and then the water covered him, so the stench is not there. Remember, it says, won't cause any damage by Hakachi. Why? Because Kemayim Layam Chasim, water covered water. What do you mean water covered water? The whole ocean is one body of water. Particularly Yam Chasim, Elisora Shayam Chasim. It completely covered and concealed the sar of water. What do we do about that? Yarden Yaitse Mimara Pamayas. At the Jordan, where does it start? From a cave of Pamayas. They say it's Caesarea. Tanahach, we learned Yarden Yaitse Mimara Pamayas, that the Jordan comes out of the cave of Pamayas, Umahalach, and it travels beyond Shal Sivchi, the sea of Sivchi. This is how it travels. It's what makes its way down. I'm not sure where all these seas are. On the Yom Shatreya, which is the Kineris, and then on his Galgul, the Yedid, the Yam Hagadol. And then eventually he makes his way to Yam Hagadol. It's always a question when the Gemara says the Yam Hagadol, if it means Mediterranean or if it means Atlantic Ocean. His Galgul, the Yedid, Achem Magil, Apiv Shal V'Yasin. Eventually this water, the Yarden water, ends up by Leviasin. Shenemar, as it says in Pasuk, Yiftach ki niach Yarden el Piu, that he feels secure. Because the Yarden is flowing to the Leviathan. And so Master Rabbarula, this pasuk is not talking about that the Leviathan feels secure. This pasuk is referring to the animal kingdom, that they feel secure. So what does one thing do with another? The water going to the Leviathan makes the animals feel secure. When are the animals there secure? That they won't die, because eventually there's going to be a fight between the Shert Habar and the Leviathan. And he's always worried that who knows when it's going to happen. As long as the Leviathan is drinking its water, is busy doing that, the animals are secure and knowledge that they're going to survive. That was established over the Yam of the seas and over the rivers. Elu Shiva Yamin, there are 7 seas in Israel, and there are 4 rivers. That sort of surround Israel. The Elohim, these are they. Shiva Yamin, what are the 7 seas? Yama Shel Tveria. The 7 seas are the Yam of Tveria, the Yama Shel Zdoim, so the Kineres, the Dead Sea, and the Yama Shel Chelat, or some say it's Eilat, the Yama Shel Chilta, and then this river is the river of Chilta, I'm not sure what that is. The Yama, the Sea of Sivchi, the Yam Aspamia. Aspamia usually is Spain. And if Aspamia is Spain, then Yam HaGadol must mean Atlantic Ocean. But sometimes Aspamia, they say, means something else, something in Israel, and Yam HaGadol means Mediterranean. Elohim Abor Naharis, the 4 rivers are Yarden, Yarmuk, Kiruman, Upiga. These are the 4 rivers. Ki Asid Abdimi Amr B'Yayin, Asid Gabriel, Lasas Gabriel will make a kaniga, a fight, Im Leviathan. He's going to actually have a fight with Leviathan. Shnema, because it says in Pasuk, Hatimshich Leviathan b'chako v'chevel tishko l'shenei. So will he pull the Leviathan and have a fight with him, and b'chevel tishko l'shenei, and he will try to catch the Leviathan with his fishing rod and sink it into his tongue. If Hashem wouldn't help Gabriel, Gabriel, no way can he overcome the Leviathan. Shnema, it says, his creator is Igish Chaber, will bring over the sword. When the Leviathan hungry, produces, air. and gives a blow. Heat from his mouth. All the waters now are churning and they get very hot. Shenever says it boils up kisir like a pot. Mitzul of the water. The Yasser would not place his head in Eden. Nobody can withstand that stench. And then it says Yam Yosim Kimerkacha, that the yam suddenly became like a beautiful spice fragrance, and so on. When the animal is thirsty, he causes that the animals all kinds of ridges in the water, and the water becomes goes in a frenzy. It says after him Yoyer Nasiv, the Nasiv, the paths on the bottom light up because there's some all kinds of what do you call it? There's what do you call it? It's called already. Not like vortexes or whatever. Some that the water suddenly churns, a whirlpool, and so on. They want to say that the tahim after the Leviathan gives a drink does not recover fully for up to 7 years. Remember, it says that Yachshev tahim l'seva, that tahim will be reckoned l'seva. And what's seva? When does the time become fully considered? When it reaches seva. They say Bava Shivim. Seva 70 years, like says Begiravas, that Ben Shivim l'seva. There's a Targum Unkelis where it says when they seva takum. The Targum Unkelis says, if I remember correctly, there's a Minchas Chinuch on that pasuk, and he brings from the Targum and from other places that seva is actually 60 years old. When you learn Torah, that's what seva is. Some want to say that the Bermuda Triangle, that no one knows what causes it, that these planes suddenly disappear, and they talk about Martians and all that, as another theory, that maybe that's the Leviathan in the Middle Atlantic is having a drink, and it swallows everything up and creates this massive whirlpool.